Podcasting from Woodstock, Georgia, welcome to Soul Solutions, a show where we overcome our fears and our limiting beliefs. I'm your host, author, and certified life coach, Terry Kozlowski. Episode 14, Awakening Your Authentic Self is a Journey to the Spirit. Over the last 2 weeks, we have learned how the nature of the ego is fear, but the nature of the heart is compassion. This episode is to help us see the need for humanity to awaken and become who we were born to be. Becoming our authentic selves is about rediscovering who we innately are. The expedition we need to take for the reawakening to occur is a journey back to spirit. Only through our connection with Source can we unearth our innate selves that the egoic mind has forgotten. We must remember who we really are. When carving the sculpture David, Michelangelo said he was only bringing out of the marble what was already there. That is what we must do on this quest. We too need to chip away at what the ego has built up, remove the beliefs that others put upon us, and eliminate those things that no longer serve us or bring us joy. We base our spiritual growth on what our soul needs to expand, for it to arise and be the voice we hear and follow its guidance instead of the ego's. It's not about a particular religion, spiritual practice, or specific pathway because this journey is entirely personal for each individual. Why is our awakening vital? In modern society, priorities seem to be skewed. We will spend time exercising, learning a new piece of software for work, or binge watching a popular television show, but we don't prioritize our spiritual growth. Connecting with our authentic selves isn't crucial for the egoic mind. It is, however, the only part of us we take when we die, our soulful self. That's why it's vital for us to awaken. The egoic mind has worked at burying our authentic selves for years as it did its job of protecting us. But we are here in this earth school for our souls to expand and grow. By opening up and living from the heart and not the mind, we align ourselves with spirit. We put ourselves into the magic of flow and synchronistic moments begin to occur regularly. Once we allow the heart to take the lead instead of the ego, we begin to live out our dreams. The dreams we have were put into our hearts by spirit. Those visions we have are our mission here on this planet. We have a purpose. If we follow the soul's voice, it provides us with means and opportunities to accomplish our heart's soulful assignment. All our lives, the soul has been speaking to us so we can accomplish the mission we were born to do. If we don't awaken, who will accomplish that which we were created to do? We need to wake up and take hold of our dreams. So what is spiritual growth? Us becoming who we're meant to be isn't about being more of anything but ourselves. This awakening isn't something we can compare with another, as our journey differs from everyone else's. No one else can be a more authentic version of us than we can. And no one can take this journey for us. This adventure we must take ourselves. Our authentic selves are already within us. Spiritual growth is about uncovering who we authentically are. Who we are has been buried by layers of protection by the ego. We all come to this place when we realize the egoic mind is more of a hindrance than actual protection. And if we keep allowing it to be in control, we will lose ourselves to the unfulfilled life the egoic mind creates. As we reach this realization, this need for something more meaningful in our lives, we also see that no one can help us but ourselves. No one knows what hides in the marble that surrounds our authentic selves. We must be the ones to strip away the layers to show ourselves and the world the greatness that lies beneath what the ego has buried. Who am I? For many, the realization that we don't know who we are is very disturbing. If we don't know, it's because we've allowed the egoic mind to rule our lives. The ego has created mental pictures of who we are: child, parent, spouse, employee, coworker, artist, etc. These are the labels we wear, not who we are. To see who we are, we must get quiet. In silence, we discover our soul's voice. As we listen, we begin to learn who our authentic self is. Part of our journey is to look back at ourselves when we were small children, when we knew who we were. The authentic part of us still sees the wonders all around, like we did when we were kids. It wants to explore, create, and live this moment in its entirety. Our real selves love unconditionally and are fearless because it knows we're connected to spirit. As we assimilate into our families, we begin to forget who we are. This egoic process is called domestication. We learn what behavior they desire through reward and what actions are unacceptable through rejection. Thus, the egoic mind buries our authentic selves that others deem undesirable. And this starts the forgetting process. But our souls remember. The heart knows we're pretending to be something we aren't. And this is how our self-worth begins its downward spiral. When we can't be our authentic selves, we become depressed and incomplete. What is the awakening of our authentic selves? What the ego has been seeking out in the world, it will never find. The love and acceptance it looks for must be found within, where it's always been. The ego is fearful of rejection, but the heart is always accepting. For us to accept ourselves, we have to stop being something we aren't and allow our authentic selves to emerge. We have to be honest with ourselves and trust our instincts. That gut reaction is our soul speaking to us. Learn to listen. We need to stop judging ourselves. Accept who we are as we are right now. Release the shame, the guilt, the blame, the excuses, the expectations, and the perfectionism. Instead, forgive ourselves. By letting go and allowing others to forgive our sleepful self, we become conscious of the soul's voice and its encouragement. Recognize that self-care and alone time are vital for this awakening to occur. Taking care of the body is the understanding that it is a sacred vessel for our soul, and it has needs for it to be at its full potential. Through our solitude, we create the space for authentic selves to emerge. To realize the amount of domestication we have assimilated, we have to spend time alone. To see the world as it is, and not from an egoic perspective, we need to get quiet. How do we forge our path? The path we follow doesn't matter as long as we follow one, because the spiritual traditions all have the same goal: to awaken us. I believe all paths lead to the same spiritual truths. We aren't alone, and we're all connected. If one specific trail is comfortable for us to follow, fine, walk that path. Be careful not to get trapped in any religious dogma that the ego uses to keep us under its control. Our goal is to be taking consistent steps forward along our authentic journey. We need to have some daily practices to help us focus on our voyage. Each morning I meditate for 15 minutes. I then write 15 I am affirmations. I read a devotional, and then I write 3 pages in my journal. This time is sacred to me, and nothing interferes with it. We need to put into place regular practices that allow us to begin the day peaceful and joyous. We need to recognize that we will stumble and take missteps along our route. There will be potholes to navigate around and rugged terrain that we must traverse. So we need to be gentle with ourselves and not get discouraged. The expedition to self-mastery is one that takes time and self-care as we look within and uncover who we authentically are. How do we set the tone for each day? We must consciously be intentional with how we begin each of our days. Are we waking up before we even get out of bed and immediately focusing on the things we must do? I used to do this. And in doing so, I was unintentionally causing my day to begin and stay in overdrive. It filled me with stress and anxiety, not the best or the healthiest way to start the day. Now when I awaken, I pray. I fill this prayer with thanksgiving for the blessings in my life. The simple act of praying and being grateful raises our vibrational level and opens our hearts to receive. When our hearts are open, we connect to Spirit. And in doing so, we can receive guidance from that still small voice within us. By beginning the day connected to Source, there is no fear. There is love, acceptance, and a sense of inner peace that rises from within. Being centered and at peace is the best way to start the day. Why does the ego think and believe that we are broken? Because of our domestication, the ego traps our authentic selves inside the marble for our protection. So our ego has been trying to get our attention to help us overcome the trap of the egoic mind. The ego doesn't know how to process these emotions the heart uses to get us to notice it. So when the soul says this isn't the path we're to take, the ego interprets it as it's a failure. As the heart says this doesn't feel right, the egoic mind thinks that there's something wrong with us, and by extension, we are broken. If things aren't working for us, then we're not good enough for good things to be a part of our life. And we allow the egoic mind to beat us down so we cannot see the signs of our spiritual awakening. The ego's struggle to compete, be perfect, outdo others and ourselves is a futile endeavor because it's always reacting from a place of fear. That's its nature. The false belief that all it needs and wants come from outside ourselves causes it to feel broken. It is in this uncomfortable place that growth can occur, and we can find our true selves. The more we fight against the egoic mind, the more fragmented we feel. The minute we stop struggling and become a witness to the egoic reactions is the minute we start our awakening. How do we see ourselves through the eyes of love? I recently visited my nephew and his newborn son. Little Dakota is perfect. I can't remember what he was wearing, but he was so sweet and innocent. All anyone wanted to do was hold him and love him. None of us thought he was weak or too short because he was only 18 inches tall. No one complained about how unproductive he was since all he did was eat and sleep. Or was anyone concerned about him being a burden and not pulling his weight, all 6 pounds, 3 ounces of it? We all saw him through the eyes of love. That is how we are to look at ourselves, through the eyes of love. But instead, we see the egoic labels and cultural beliefs put upon us by others. We compare ourselves with everyone we meet, not allowing our innate innocence and perfection to shine through. But the soul sees only our authentic selves, the sweet, innocent newborn. That divine part of us connected to Spirit. For us to emerge fully as our authentic selves, we must reconnect to this love within us. Only then will we know that we are enough, just as we are. How do we align with Spirit? There is no one out there in the world who can improve our lives. When we stop struggling with the egoic mind and allow our soul to lead us, we automatically align with Spirit. The life that the ego has been fighting to create is already within us. The source inside of us arises and our life emerges from within. That's what the law of attraction is. Our lives emerging from within ourselves, which is connected to Spirit. As we become conscious, our ability to change the world around us increases. Our awareness allows for more transformation of ourselves and those we influence. We recognize the connection we continuously have with Source, and we know that we are never alone. The egoic concepts of duality fades, and we start to understand the oneness of the universe. Staying aligned with Spirit is maintaining the understanding that who we are is the soulful self connected to the divine. When we believe this reality, we feel loved and supported every day. We know that the life we create is miraculous, and we see the infinite potential all around us. How do we achieve our true potential? Once we are aligned with Spirit, we become more aware that we are already our authentic selves. We recognize that what we need and want, we already have. As we develop, we may need to focus on different aspects of our lives. For example, I went through different phases of activities that helped me grow overall. I took painting classes for a year to assist me in letting my creativity out. After that, I spent a year taking yoga classes to help my body get in shape and learn how to meditate. Then I went through a detox where I no longer ate gluten and artificial foods to keep my body as healthy as it can be. I needed to do these things so I felt supported by my body to take on the next endeavor. The ensuing expansion my soul wanted me to take was to write my memoir, Raven Transcending Fear. I needed to do this to complete my healing from the trauma my mother caused in my childhood. Writing the book, due out in early 2021, led me to write a weekly blog post and to start the podcast Soul Solutions. Each step served me to get me to the next level of my soulful purpose, helping others overcome their fears and limiting beliefs. I didn't have a plan. These activities seemed like a natural course of events and my desires, splendid examples of being in and going with the flow of life. So what if the children are fighting back? Since we are born knowing who we are, maybe some of our children's behaviors are their undeveloped consciousness trying to maintain their authenticity. Young kids don't have the language skills nor the cognitive abilities to explain why they behave a certain way. Are we trying to fix the children because we think they're broken? No child is broken. No child needs fixing. Maybe as adults, we need to realize that our children have destinies. It's sad to imagine how many innovations, cures, and artworks are suppressed because children were pressured into conformity. This suppression is the domestication we as adults have to overcome, so that our authentic selves can emerge as they were to do years ago. If our weirdness was embraced instead of judged and made to feel ashamed, the need for us to awaken would be moot. But this doesn't have to be. We were born with the right conditions for us to be our authentic selves. Our families are the best people to nurture us to maintain our authenticity. But even if our parents aren't aware, the children still are. The child, despite its family of origin, has the internal knowing of who it is. And more importantly, we have the internal light of source within us for us to grow into all we were meant to be. Let's imagine a new paradigm. Little Dakota isn't a blank slate. He has arrived at this earth school already knowing who he authentically is and what his divine mission is. All Dakota needs to succeed is already within him: the wisdom, the means, and the support. He doesn't have to search outside himself for anything required for him to complete his soul's purpose. If he is his authentic self, all he needs, he will easily attract into his life. This authenticity is how we all arrived on this planet. But most of the collective consciousness believes the lie of the ego, that life is hard. In its quest for economic freedom and safety from the unknown, society has forgotten who it really is. Only humans can completely derail the full potential of another human being. Who we are and what we're supposed to do were answered when we were born. The global awakening is currently occurring where people understand the ego's traps and are aligning with spirit. Maybe little Dakota won't have to go through the domestication process. Maybe he will always get to be his authentic self. No one else can grow up and do what Dakota is assigned to do. I pray everyone in his life allows him to be his true self without our influence, because he arrived knowing what that is, and we didn't. Moving forward on our journey to authenticity. The limited egoic mind doesn't solve the problems in our lives. Solutions that arise from the soul bring peace love, and evolution. The seeds which we sow in our hearts reap authentic returns. It's the internal mechanisms of our souls that matter, not the external egoic minds. Grace erases our egoic past. It uproots the seeds that the ego planted as proof that the past doesn't indicate the future. So despite the ego's false belief that we are at the mercy of the world, our lives happen not outside of us, but through us. As we awaken our full potential and rediscover who we are, our journey to spirit is the realization that the universe is on our side. As we awaken, we are made anew, reborn, so it never diminished our full potential. Our limitlessness comes from our connection to the divine. Maintaining this link determines our ability to stay authentic and be all that we were meant to be. We are infinite beings of light, forever unfolding. As we become more conscious of our awakening, we can control our lives by allowing our souls to guide us on our inward journey. Do you need support to help you awaken and begin the journey to your authentic self? Do you want a strategy to help you overcome the ego's limiting beliefs and live a successful life? If so, please reach out to me at terrykozlowski.com and we can put together an action plan for you to create the life you desire. Please join me next week as we discuss how to inspire others and ourselves.
Thanks for listening to Soul Solutions with Terry Kozlowski. If you'd like the show and want to learn more, check out terrykozlowski.com where you can find the links to everything we talked about in this episode. Please subscribe to the show so you'll never miss an episode as we overcome our fears and our limiting beliefs.